Former football player, ex-manager, all-round shit disturber Joey Barton. He's at it. He's grifting big time. He's launched a GoFundMe campaign. The outspoken former footballer claims Jeremy Vine's lawsuit could easily cost 500 grand after the broadcaster sued over bike NONCE social media jibe. So Vile filed a defamation claim against Joey Barton last week. Barton is also facing a separate lawsuit from football pundit Ene Aluko. So Joey Barton it reads here, has launched a fundraising campaign after BBC Radio 2 presenter Jeremy Vine took legal action following the former footballer labelling a bike NONC on social media. Vine filed a defamation claim after posts made by Barton compared to Vine to the P word, such as Rolf Harris. Gotta watch with YouTube, what I say. Barton wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter, that Vine's legal action could easily cost me up to 500k. Ex-Man City player alleged Vine's lawyers originally asked for 50 grand to charity and all its costs and an apology, before claiming the demands are now over 250k. His lawyers asked originally for 50k to charity and all his costs and an apology. I offered to give 10k to a charity, apologise and delete the said tweets. I then got another letter wanting 100k after Lawrence Fox had his case in the High Courts. And this is from Ene Aluko's letter from the same firm of lawyers. So this was Lawrence Fox's case when he used the P word, NONCE, as well, and then lost his case in the High Court. But with what Joey Barton's saying here, though, he said that he was going to offer to give 10 grand, apologise, and delete tweets. So this Joey Barton's who all about saying what he says, what's on his mind, doesn't have a filter. Surely Joey Barton would never apologise, right? He kept saying that and hashtagging bike NONC all the bloody time. He tweets an awful lot. But the problem with this, and then he also says as well about he was going to apologise, and also with the whole thing about him now that he's launched this GoFundMe because for to countersue Jeremy Vine. But early on in January, if you go back to Joey Barton's tweet here, he says, "Don't take me for a fool, lawyer up, sue me, get me cancelled, pressure my employers, my sponsors." So, lawyer up, sue me. So he was asking for this. He was putting this out there, and then he also goes on and says, "I've got plenty to fight you back with, I've deeper pockets than most." But surely not deep enough that, you could front your legal costs yourself, suing, countersuing, whatever it may be. And then you do the whole thing of, the money will be going to charity as well. That, anything more than his initial goal over that amount will go to charity. But again, he claimed, though, you think from the tweet he's saying here, though, that, he doesn't care. He's got an I don't give a fuck attitude. Lawyer up, sue me. And he was just on it, wasn't he? Constantly attacking, he was attacking Ene Aluko, he was attacking the other female football pundits. And, if you're just going by Barton's views that, that there's an agenda there and with all these women in the positions that they're in, it's the way of the culture and these organizations, corporations are ticking all those diversity boxes, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I get that. I'm with him there. But Joey Barton was on it and didn't let it go. And this is now the mess that Joey Barton finds himself in. If he is looking at $500,000 in with legal fees, but it continues on. So that the tweets here are saying yes, this is easily cost them up to 500k. Lawyers, yeah, so you mentioned about 50k to charity they'd said that they wanted, but then he at the same time, remember, guys, you think why would he apologise, right? But he just said 10k. He was only going to give 10k, but then he said he was going to apologise and then delete the tweets. But if you really mean by everything you say, saying what you're saying, you wouldn't delete them. You wouldn't agree to delete them, right? Surely. And it goes on here. So yeah, so this is when we get to the GoFundMe page here, and he calls it Champion Injustice, uniting behind Joey Barton, that he stands at the forefront of a battle for justice and fairness. And with this here, the last I checked on the GoFundMe page, he's got 479 donations and he's raised £6,579, but that could keep going up. This to me, though, is just to me a one giant grift, and you know, I'm not a Jeremy Vine supporter here, so don't take this like thinking, oh, I'm backing Jeremy Vine, but Joey Barton, you know, when you're going to say a serious thing like that, referring to someone as an NONCE, you know, that is the worst thing you could say to somebody, you know, whether you agree with them politically or not, whether you think that they're a horrible, vile person or not, whether you think, you know, that they were responsible for pushing playing a part in pushing the Convid nonsense, 4 years ago, you still don't call that to someone. You don't say that. But Lawrence Fox did the same thing. He did that whole thing with the whole drag queen person. He put the whole thing of because there is that agenda there of wanting to, with the sexualization and with drag time, whole thing with stories and young kids. But then he just pointed at one drag queen person and used that word, the P word. And then he got himself into deep shit there, in the courts. But Barton attracted this mess. He put that negative energy out there. And you put that negative energy out there, that's exactly what you're going to get back. Of course, they were going to come back at him. They were, Ennio Luco, Jeremy Vine. They were going to sue him. But then he said, okay, sue me. I've got deeper pockets than most. But he has no problem thinking that you should put some of your money towards this. You've got one guy here, Paul Clark, £300. Are you kidding me? Is this maybe a family member of his, close friend? Because £300 for a guy you don't know. You don't know, and let's face it, he doesn't know you personally, so it's not like as if he cares about you. It's just madness to me. And with Barton, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that from everything he was saying and stuff, and he seemed genuine. It didn't seem like this is an act. But the more I've been watching him, the more now it's all of a sudden, okay, he's got a podcast. The podcast is all well and fine. I'm not knocking him over a podcast. He's got to do something else, though, because, he was sacked as the manager of, was it Bristol Rovers he got sacked from late last year? So now he's got to find something else, another way to make a living, which is all good. But now it's Joey Barton's now ingratiating himself with these more people that are to the right. And listen, I'm more right-wing politically than I'm left, so okay, and then ingratiating himself with these people who are kind of like, you would say classes like in the quote-unquote truther movement. And for the past couple of months, you may have not seen it, but he's been on their shows, he's been on Trigonometry, he's been on a couple of other people that have their shows on, talk radio. He's from a guy that was more like kind of left-leaning to quickly go from more like he's kind of to the right. It seems awful quick, people can change their views over time, but I was just always very skeptical of this with Joey Barton, that this is maybe just a bit really an act, that he doesn't even believe half of what he's saying, that he's essentially like there as a shill. And this could just be, this whole thing with countersuing him could just be one giant grift. I don't think he can be trusted. Then there was the whole thing with that, Dan Wooten, Byline Times. He launched a GoFundMe, and I think it shut down after a while. It stopped, it disappeared. He only got to a certain target. Maybe it was around 30,000, and then it went away. And it is that thing, a lot of people, they talk about free speech, but Joey Barton, saying because Vine said he had a brain injury or whatever, he's saying that, well, that's defamation, but, think of some of the stuff that Joey Barton said, some of the foul shit he said to people. I think it was the ex-Liverpool player Hamann he went hard in on. A couple of other people, plenty of people in his career he's went hard in on. I mean, he stubbed a cigarette out in someone's eye. I mean, things that he would have said on the football pitch, but it wasn't as if these people sued Joey Barton for defamation, did they? So if you think that, Joey Barton's on your side, then I feel personally you're sadly mistaken. That's just my opinion. I don't think he can be trusted. I think this is just one big giant grift. And I said to myself, I remember saying this to people before I had a live stream, and I said, if Joey Barton starts speaking and he's like on a show with like Lawrence Fox, then I would be like, yeah, this fucker is a shill, right? And it was only his second episode of his podcast, right? Common Sense with Joey Barton. And who's on his show? Lawrence Fox. Another guy, brings on a lot of the shit himself. He has the thing with his issue, his ex-wife, Billie Piper. She's maybe more to the left or whatever, but, he doesn't come off well at all on how he conducts himself and acting, saying the things he does when he's, on telly about a woman when he's a 45-year-old man with children. He doesn't help himself at all. Another guy brings on the negative energy all by himself. And so he's launched this GoFundMe, and he's saying, but then he said here, all proceeds gained, but then it's not very clear. You're saying proceeds gained, you're looking for money for your little, your campaign, but you should make that a little bit clear that it's, anything over the target goes to Alder Hey in Liverpool. But some people were skeptical. If you go down on the tweets here, some people are skeptical. This woman here, Elizabeth, your post makes no sense. Are people's donations going towards Alder Hey, or are they going towards your legal fees? Then he says, my legal fees to defend his defamation will come from my own pocket. It'll likely be way over 100 grand. The GoFundMe is to countersue him. All of the fund and any money taken off Vine will go to Alder Hey. Hope that clears it up, Elizabeth. Something about Alex Belfield, but then he was another guy that got caught up with Jeremy Vine, and then there was, I think he had a big grift, Belfield, with that, and I think he scammed his YouTube subscribers or something. Again, I'm not a Jeremy Vine guy, but then Alex Belfield seemed like a bit of a funny one too. He was kind of like a Marmite type character, right? You either loved him or you hated him. Someone says here, but reading your GoFundMe, you're depicting yourself the victim of defamation rather than the person suing you. Saying that he had a brain injury, but he's playing the victim all of a sudden now, but then he has no problem trying to victimize other people, right? Have the courage of your own convictions and use the money to defend yourself. Yeah, well, that goes back to a tweet from, remember, Lawyer Up, Sue Me. He put that out there. And then other things, it's even the whole thing with Eniel Luko when he was saying about, dodgy money or about our dad being a Nigerian centre. But he didn't back it up with anything. I mean, what did he expect was going to happen, when you're saying these things to people? And you're not backing up. Like, back it up with an article. Show an article if there was something there about her and her family, if there was something a bit questionable there. But he didn't, which... And the other things he said about, thinking that women had slept around and that's why they were in the position they were in, the pundits. And a lot of it was probably just him bullshitting, I did speculate, well, did he have dirt on some of these women? But it was probably just Barton talking shit, right? And Barton says, I'm finding my own defense of his defamation claim. And so a lot of people are skeptical about this. I certainly wouldn't be giving a penny to him. Maybe a few years ago if I was a bit young and dumb and didn't know any better, maybe. But a lot of these people in the so-called conspiracy truther movement I don't think, a lot of it's just one big grift. Calvin Robinson was another one. He's another one that people that are right-wing conservative are supposed to go talk about it's working hard, it's personal responsibility. But then Calvin Robinson had no problem asking people for £30,000 to help pay his bills after GBU's let him go because he said, "Oh, I'm not going to come on the air unless you bring Dan Wooten back." After the whole thing of being suspended over the whole, Lawrence Fox who would shag that thing. Well, at the end of the day, Calvin, your friend Lawrence said something he shouldn't have, and he should have took the punishment like a man. And the same went for Dan Wooten because they were laughing and joking about it afterwards. You know what I mean? And then stabbed each other in the back and did Dan and Lawrence. But these guys, though, yeah, you can't trust them. But there's no loyalty. And it's, I think, unfortunately, with this stuff here with Barton, it's a big grift. Who knows where the money will actually go? And there was questions there with Dan Wooten with his Byline Times one, and then you had Calvin Robinson, buddy Calvin Robinson. He was going out for a holiday to Disney World after he had raised the money he got. It's something you definitely have some questions there. Okay, Barton might say a lot of the right things when it comes to how things are with football and maybe how woke Match of the Day has gotten. But you know what? He brought this shit on himself. No one else. And okay, it might not be that this is just one big act, but if this is happening and he's gonna rake up about $500,000 in legal expenses, he has brought this shit on himself. He put that negative energy out there, so I certainly don't have any sympathy for one Joseph Barton. But that's my video for now, guys. So feel free to hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. What your thoughts are. Do you think this is genuine with Joey Barton, or is he just a shell and a big grifter? But that's my video for now, guys. Thank you. Bye.